Hi everyone, and welcome to our latest Alto Masterclass webinar. I'm Mark from Alto, and I'll be your host for this session. So today we've got a really exciting session. It's a one-to-one conversation with one of our fantastic Alto customers. They asked us to put that bit in. It's Cheffins, and it's Sarah from Cheffins. Now, if you're not familiar with Cheffins, it's a very well-established property business that's been serving residential, commercial, and rural markets as well for years. And they are one of the most recognizable names in the game. So today we're going to be going behind the scenes with Sarah from Cheffins to learn a little bit more about how the business operates, how they're adapting to some very important changes in the market, rental reform, spoiler, and how they're using Alto to support their teams and also streamline their day-to-day work. We've also set aside some time at the end of this session for a bit of an audience Q&A, so do feel free to drop your questions into the chat anytime throughout the session. We'll look to get to those and as many of those as we can in the time that we've got. Now, before we do dive in, there's a couple of things that I just want to make you aware of. Just after this session, so a couple of hours after, we'll be sharing a follow-up email with an on-demand link to the webinar, so you can just watch this again at your own convenience, or also share it with your colleagues, and we do encourage you to do so. And finally, you can also check out our resources tab. That should be on the right of your screen. That's where you can find a host of assets, and that will include a link to the Cheffins customer story, if you want to kind of read that at your own leisure and all the good things Alto's done for the business. You can also find some links to the Alto website and our book a demo page if you'd like to schedule a call with the team to just talk through how our platform works and how it can help you. That's enough from me, so I'm going to just jump straight in now to kick things off and say hello to Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting us along, Mark. Don't quite remember asking you to say all of those lovely things about us, but anyway, thank you anyway. So yeah, a bit about Cheffins. So as Mark has already stolen some of my thunder, one of our biggest things is we started 200 years ago, so we're celebrating our 200-year anniversary this year. That's taking up quite a lot of our time, doing lots of events, etc., including myself throwing myself out of an aeroplane as a tandem skydive on the 23rd of August. Cheffins, as I say, started in 1825. You'll see from the posters behind me, we started obviously selling livestock. So we started with a rural background, and today, yes, we still have that rural side, big machinery sale ground, but we have obviously our sales and lettings offices. We have 5 of those in East Anglia, and we've been running those for many, many years. And I'm a partner of the firm and have been at Cheffins for just over 9 years. Been in the industry, unfortunately, for 35 years. So seen a lot of changes.
I'm sure you have, and we'll be digging into those a little bit. And I guess, like, obviously that's a long tenure for the business in general, and it's really impressive. But like, what's the last, I'd say, 12 to 18 months look like for Cheffins and also for yourself? It's been very, we were talking earlier before we hit record, but it's been very transformational the last couple of years. And what kind of notable shifts and milestones have you seen?
I think that everybody in this industry has faced challenges, sales and lettings. We are used to the roller coaster. Lettings is heavily legislated. Sales very much, rely on, bank of interest, rate rises, mortgage rates, stamp duty. We've all got used to, well, those of us that have been in the industry long enough, we've got used to dealing with those being thrown at us. But the last 2 years has been very hard work. The government seem to be working, but both governments seem to be working against us in the industry and seem to be throwing curveballs at us in every direction. So not only at the moment have we got, obviously, yes, a lot of legislation due to come through, the biggest change that lettings ever seen in 30 years. It's the uncertainty around all of this. So a lot of us in the industry are robust. We've been through it. We've done lots of things, but we need the help to get through it. And you can be hit so many times and bounce back up. But I think the last 2 years have been the toughest I've known for 35 years. There just seems to be no real positivity coming out of government about the actual industry that we're working in. Our landlords are being beaten down. We're expected to find housing for people, but we're losing housing. Social sector seem to have been getting away with quite a lot, and now they're starting to focus on them. And obviously, Grenfell was a massive thing for the sales departments. There's a lot of properties that affected, and people are stuck in homes. So there's been a lot of negativity and not a lot of good news stories coming out of the papers, etc., in the last 2 years.
And not to double down on the negativity so much, but like what has been the biggest challenge or curveball? Is it renters reforms, or is it something else or is it just a series of things? Is it a smorgasbord of issues?
It's a series of things, and I think I'm head of residential, so I cover sales and lettings, but my background is more in lettings. So I would personally say for me and my team that lettings, the unknown, it's a lot of people have lettings departments for a reason. That is, it's steady income. Sales has always been very up and down, can be market driven. Rentals has always been that kind of safe haven for many companies, that they can guarantee that rental is going to come in for the next 3, 6, 12 months. We went through a lot of changes. We've gone through from assured short hold tenancy agreement, assured tenancies to a short hold tenancy agreements. 2019, the tenant fee ban. We've ridden all of those challenges. This one is literally ripping up the rule book and starting from scratch. Again, we can take those challenges on, and we're already prepped as much as we possibly can be. But it's the lack of information and timescales coming out of government that are really holding us back.
Yeah.
That is where my biggest fear comes in, is that the longer something takes, the more unnerved people get, the more it becomes a bigger picture and the stories start evolving. We lose staff, we lose people, landlords, we lose people that want to invest in the marketplace. It's that kind of problem. So I would say that's been our biggest challenge: monitoring what's going on, managing expectations, managing budgets. We all run companies, we have to manage budgets. That is the unknown, what's coming, and having the meat on the bones. We're all acting. I'm sure everybody watching this webinar is doing everything they possibly can to protect their companies, protect their staff, be ready for whatever that we get thrown at us. But it's not having deadlines, times, and how quickly we're going to have to act on things.
What would help from that side of things? Would it be more transparency and communication from the government in terms of, particularly with rental reforms as a major factor? Would that help?
I think joined up thinking helps. It's, and I'm not here as a political person, but at the end of the day, joined up thinking. At the end of the day, we're talking about people saying there's not enough housing. They're saying that, we've got a shortage of housing. We need to build more houses. We need to, find more properties to rent. But both of those sectors are wanting to do that. They want to house people. That's why we're here. But it just feels like we're not being given the support to do that. Scaring people or taxing people higher if they own more properties, more than one property, or have a rental home in a seaside location. All of these things are being driven at those industries. So people will leave those industries, and unfortunately we end up with less housing. Yeah,
100%. And like you say, Cheffins has been around for hundreds of years. It's through ups and downs and lots and lots and lots of changes over that time. How has the business, I guess, in the last couple of years changed its way of thinking or ways of working, or even sort of technology stack to respond to some of these challenges?
Well, we've been around 200 years, as we've said. So, computers weren't out, internet wasn't out, a lot of things weren't around. We used to write handwritten notes, apparently. We've got archives showing us this. Things evolve. And the one thing that I'm proud to say when I work at Cheffins, and the staff are proud to say as well, is that we do evolve. We change as things happen. So I personally believe, are lucky. We're a partnership. So the people that sit around the top table are people that are involved in this business. They understand the needs, they understand the demands, and we can react and we can change quickly. So, as I say, using the 2019 tenant fee ban as an example, a lot of agents put their fees up. something we did not want to do. We've got a lot of good landlords, we've got a lot of good people, you know, that we've had for many, many years. So we looked at a way around that by adding a bolt on that people could take or didn't have to take. So we always look at things, but because we're a partnership, we can react to things in a lot quicker than some larger companies can. But we've also got, and we're very spoiled, that we have got so many divisions that, as we all know, if you only own a sales and lettings business, sales normally is either very high and very good, lettings might be slightly lower, and it can move up and down. We're even more spoilt on the fact that we do have a fantastic machinery sale ground, which is obviously a bolt on for us. We have our rural department, we have our commercial department. We have a lot of departments. We're a bigger company, but we think like a smaller company. So I personally believe, and why I came to work here for this company, having worked in the industry for so many years, is because they are diverse, they can react to change, and they want to look after the next generation, which is technically what our whole 200 years is around. Technology is evolving. AI is coming in very fast. All of that we're having to embrace. We're having to look at it. Is it right for our company? What parts are, what parts aren't? You know, legislation means every time you bring in something new, we need an AI policy, we need an IT policy. You have to protect yourself, but you have to embrace what is coming forward. So technology, AI are the things now that are taking up a lot of our partnership time, because we want to embrace that and we want to move forward.
100%. And what you said there about technology is quite interesting. Like you say, you're a big company that thinks like a small company. You have to have the right technology in place, right, to facilitate
Definitely.
that. So
yeah,
you've got multiple branches, and you as a sort of partner in the business, I guess. And I'm making assumptions here, so set me right if I'm wrong. But from your perspective, you need complete visibility over every single branch and every team member's performance, right, as well as the bottom line and stuff. So is that what led you originally to Alto, or what kind of stood out initially that made you think we need a new CRM to take our business forward?
Okay, so honest and truthful. So we obviously were a Dupix user, and unfortunately a CFP user, and obviously some of that was coming to an end. So Vibra, etc., all things were coming to their natural ends. Alto was launched. We kind of had to choose a new CRM. So I did a lot of investigating. I'd only joined the company for a year, and I had to start looking at a brand new CRM. So you can imagine, staff-wise, new boss comes in, that's enough to give them a headache, and then she starts changing, throwing out the new, the old systems, bringing in the new.
Yeah.
It was not easy, but for that reason, we decided that, in some plain English, better the devil you know. So we had a very good relationship with the managers and the support team from Dupix, and obviously that then married over to Alto. And we were lucky enough, as we were, I believe, Alto's first multi-branch agency to go over to it. We did have a lot of teething problems, but we also, from that, had the ability to raise some concerns that we had, some things that didn't seem to fit for us or work for us. Now, we don't have bottomless pockets. We can't go to a company and say, this is the CRM we want to do it this way. We don't have that kind of money in the pot to do that.
Yeah.
We need to work with a company that would listen to us, would help us, would train us, and would fit with what we needed it to do. So we chose Alto. It was working, and the training worked. The staff got used to it. No company ever goes onto a new CRM and says the next day, wow, this is amazing, this works brilliantly. We all hate change.
Yeah.
We took lettings over first. Sales decided not to go over because they felt that Dupix still gave them what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Hand on heart, they were a lot busier at the time as well, which meant that they just hadn't got the capacity to stop and take stock.
Yeah.
So we delayed taking sales over. Sales finally came over 3 years ago. So actually it was 2.5 years ago. And again, Alto had obviously changed then. So whereas we had in-house training at that point, it was all on online training. Me being a bit of a dinosaur, looked at that and thought, oh, that's a bit, I'd rather they were here doing it. Actually, for sales, it worked perfectly. They could log on, they could do it at their pace, their time. And the great thing for us was they also had lettings, already gone through it, knew how to use the system. So we kind of had our own training program in place.
Nice.
But that's why we chose Alto. There's glitches. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best thing ever, because no CRM is. It has to evolve with the market conditions.
Of course.
I'm been very lucky. I've been asked by yourselves to be as part of a team that come to London every 3 months and help with our ideas of how we feel the market's changing. Maybe Alto isn't, or what we want. And you poor devils sit there, and there's about 12 of us, all from different companies, banging the table, telling you different things and giving you different ideas. And you can't make a CRM that fits all of us. That's the problem.
No,
But,
of course not. And,
yeah.
and what Sarah's referencing there is our sort of customer advisory board, which we invite anyone to express interest and join. And that advisory board, like Sarah said, we get everyone together once a month, once every couple of months, to kind of get feedback onto the platform, and the product team then goes away and sort of takes that and innovates it into a roadmap.
And as I say, it's, again, that's another reason why I think that Alto, out of a lot of the brands that are on the market at the moment, you listen. So as I've mentioned about Cheffins, we're big, but we're small enough to react and change.
Yeah.
Alto are getting bigger, but quite a few of us, if we badger you enough, get a voice. You can't always do what we want you to do because it doesn't fit other customers. But you allow people to have that voice, you allow people to speak, and you will give a reason if you can't do it as to why. And 9 times out of 10, we get a workaround, which is the best we can ask for. But I would say that in the last 12 months, there's been a lot of exciting things coming out of Alto. And one of my biggest bugbears used to be reporting, and you've touched on this. I have 5 offices, 10 divisions to run, as well as being a partner. So my time's precious. Having to physically audit an office, or for compliance, for my managers to do that, for staff to be able to see, in sales, what their conversion rate is on appraisals. It's been very hard to get that data out, and very exciting. I know, and again, I might be letting a bit of a cat out of the bag, but I know that I've been helping some beta testing. So this stuff's coming out, and you're starting to make that inroad into that data that we kind of need. And every business owner and senior partner, senior person in an agency wants to know how their staff are performing, wants to know if there's a gas safety date missing without having to check every single gas safety. We're all human, we all make errors. Having some kind of a CRM that helps us do that on a day-to-day basis, easy to allow us to carry on doing the day job, is a brilliant CRM system.
Perfect. That's amazing. Like you say, there's a lot coming out with Alto at the moment, and the reporting is quite exciting. Is there anything else that you're looking at on the roadmap right now where you're kind of like, that could help us today?
There's a lot of exciting stuff, and again, as I say, I was quite vocal when I first came to my first meeting with you guys, but no laughing. I can be quite demanding, and I know that, and I want to look after my staff, want to make it easy for them. The great thing about actually integrating and talking to other Alto users is that some of it, and quite a lot of it, comes down to training. There's ways around to do things, and we're all human. We're all busy. We're running busy offices, busy lives. The last thing you've got time to do is spend an hour reading a training manual or looking at a training video.
Yeah.
And you start creating the issues yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from this. And when I've spoken to other people thinking of coming on to Alto, or what CRM would I use now, I give them the negatives and the positives. You guys, sometimes you don't act quickly enough because I'm demanding. 99% of the time, you actually then ring me up and say, Sarah, actually, if you do it this way, it works. So for me, there's a lot on the roadmap that will work. I think that yes, I am excited because of my position about the compliance that's coming out and the reporting, because that's massive for me. If I talk to my staff, there's been a lot recently that you've been looking at, which the works orders. I mean, my God, and my property managers think, if you can do something around streamlining works orders and making, those easier, which I know is I believe it's on the roadmap. They're telling me it is, they read it. To them, that's a massive thing. Anything that helps staff and they understand. There's a lot, though, that, to be fair, doesn't fit for my organisation. A lot of the bolt-ons that you do are not things, because we have relationships in the areas that we work. So solicitors, that kind of stuff, that doesn't work for us. But I've also spoken via the advisory group to companies. It really helps them. So I think that reason I agreed to, as I said to you, to do this webinar with you was because I think sometimes we're very blinkered. We can look very easily into one, hey, this is my company, it's got to work for me. Being on that advisory board has shown me that you guys are really working hard to make the CRM usable for as many companies as possible, covering as much as possible. Compliance is a massive thing. Sales progression, massive thing. And you've listened and you've really took those on board, and you're starting to make them a lot user friendly. There are CRMs out there that have got a lot of tech, that have got a lot of integrations that are quite mind blowing. Say I'll use the word dinosaur again. I have been doing the job too many years probably, but sometimes, without giving away my company's secrets, you must never lose the one-to-one ability. So just because a CRM can ping out an email every 20 minutes to say, great, this is your viewing, here's your SMS text, or by the way, what did you think of the viewing? Oh, chase it again. You have to have that ability, but it's great with Alto. You have the ability to turn it off and program it to your company. Because we like the one-to-one interaction with our clients. So it's great they get a reminder, but we don't overuse a lot of the tech. But again, for some companies, they need that. So it's great. It can be tailored to each individual department.
And I think that's a great point. It's up to every business and every use case and how much you kind of rely on the CRM. But for me, I would agree with you. It's kind of there to support the team in getting back to those one-to-one human conversations and having also the time to do that. So, one or two more questions just on the Alto thing before we sort of move on. But from your team's perspective, what do they use daily? What features are they using daily within Alto, and also what are you using sort of daily, weekly? We may have covered it with the reporting side, but just be interested. I think that the viewers on the webinar would be interested in understanding those two perspectives, like the day-to-day user versus yourself.
So for me, obviously the reporting is very, very important, and that's why I put a lot of emphasis on that. Being able to, you can tell a lot by reports. I know it's by the data that's in there, but you can tell by trends. You want to be able to invest in a company. You want to be able to look at your pipeline and say, that TV campaign we wanted to do, actually that pipeline's looking so healthy now. Let's sign up. Let's do it. You want those kind of interactions. You need that data. Most important, you need to be able to trust that data. And with a lot of the testing that's been done, I know Alto sometimes feel like it's slow coming out with a new report or a new section on the site, but I know you do a lot of testing, and the great thing is you use your clients to do that testing. So it's not the tech boys, as I call you sometimes, sitting behind a computer screen going, oh yeah, we'll make that work, we'll put some some data in there and some algorithms and stuff. You actually use it with your clients first to do testing on before it gets rolled out. So fingers crossed, most that gets rolled out is in a good place. My staff, what they care about the most is, like a lot of agencies, some of them are commission based, whether that be pooled or individual. It's important that they can also see how well they're doing, how well the office is doing. There's a lot of negativity out there at the moment in some agencies about, there's a lot of companies merging, there's a lot of companies selling up. It can be looked at as quite negative, and you can't get positive messages out to everybody all the time to say, look, guys, come on, don't worry about it. What is so important is that they've got the data. Now you can give access to a lot of reports and stuff that gives them that feel, feel good factor. They can look at the pipeline on sales. They can see, each office can look at each other's office and say, oh, actually, that office is, beating us on sales this month. Bit of rivalry, let's push a bit harder. We can't be beaten by them.
Exactly.
Transparency that they can get into. The fundamental, I think most staff would say to me, though, is that they need a CRM that works, that allows them to do their job, their day-to-day tasks and job seamlessly and in a way that they can actually use it. So the to-dos are brilliant, the color coding on diaries, basic stuff of how to make a viewing, how to get the feedback, how to be able to say to a vendor, you've had X amount, the property reports, you've had X amount of people through your property, it's had X amount of views on a portal. This is why we need to get a price reduction. It's not sitting in its right place. Those kind of stats, figures, being able to draw those off, being able to trust them, and being able to do the basic day-to-day of servicing our clients is what's important to the staff.
Yeah.
And that's what Alto gives them, without having lots of bells and whistles on that don't work and send you in wrong directions. It fundamentally is a CRM that, once you get your head round it and use it properly and train yourself, it does give you that day-to-day balance to be able to do your job.
That's great. So as a final point on Alto then, and as a multi-branch leader, would you recommend it to other businesses that are sort of same size and scope as yourself?
Yeah, every business is different, and this is where, as I say, it's hard to say recommend. Everybody's got different fit needs. But for us, it was the best CRM on the marketplace. It gave us what we wanted. But the one thing I will say is that if people want to have support, I might have been spoilt, I don't know, but I've had really good people to reach out to talk to. Yes, that does mean that, if other branches want this, they might have to, be part of this, advisory board, or help out when you guys need some, some data and some questionnaires filled in, because you can't actually develop your brand and your CRM without your users' feedback. And that is something I've seen Alto do a lot, and I don't see other CRMs doing. And I have got a lot of friends and colleagues that work in other industries that don't have Alto, and we talk, and that's what all industries do. We all talk to see, well, how does your CRM do this? Is there a better one out there? I can hand on heart say that for our needs, there is not a better one out there at the moment that covers us over 5 locations, gives the ability for the branches to only add an applicant on the database, only add a property once, only add a solicitor once. So many CRMs don't allow you to do that, or if they do, they start doubling up behind the scenes. So it works for us.
That's perfect. Thank you. And then I'm very mindful of your time, and as we've had a lot of questions sort of dropping in, and we've had some questions via the forum in advance, and then obviously in the chat. So let's put a couple of the most popular questions to you right now, and cover it off. But I think there's a couple here that we may have already discussed. So one is kind of like, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing your agency right now in the mirror? Like, what is the one that is nearest you, I guess, so to speak?
I would have to say it's the renters reform bill. It's the uncertainty, and even if you're not a landlord and looking at investments, or you're looking at the market conditions, the renters reform bill is out there, but it's out there in a way that's just not giving the right information. It's very much people being able to scaremonger about it, and it is having a big impact, I think, to a lot of people.
It is. It's out there, and Alto itself will be putting out a lot of content, be that webinars, sort of thought leadership, white papers, blogs, and events around this topic, to just try and communicate as much as we can as we know more about the rental reforms. I do expect that coming out from us soon. Moving away. I
think you've done the right thing, though. Sorry, I was about to say. I think one of the things is that I think Alto have actually got the tone right on that as well, because it might feel like that you're not giving out a lot of information, but again, what can you give out at the moment? There's very, we've done what we can, and now it's the case of, it's just a case of, oh, it's at this stage now, it's at this stage now, and oh, it may not come in until maybe autumn, oh, it won't maybe until 2026. So
yeah,
it kind of, there's not a lot you can say until we get some more facts out of government.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. It's a tricky time at the moment, and we definitely want to talk about it more. But like you say, it's firming up the details around it and the timings before we can do so. But do expect more communications and content from us around that soon. Another question that we've got quite a lot, Sarah, is, what does your tech stack look like? The tools and the systems that have been valuable to you and outside of Alto in helping your kind of your business and your operation scale effectively, particularly over the last couple of years. I think people are quite keen to know what that looks like.
So outside of our CRM, we have obviously, there is another company we use for our prospecting. That's come on a lot recently. I mean, gone are the days where, well, most of us anyway, will take any notice of, a standard piece of paper that's stuck through the door of a handwritten note, or, a direct flyer that's saying, call me for no reason. So that kind of prospecting side of things, and with AI, is now becoming more user friendly, and for us has been able to get us out there as a brand a lot more effectively, and of course at a good cost as well, because I remember, again, my age, I remember days where you were asked to go out and put notes through a door if somebody else's board was up. I mean, obviously that's now been outlawed, you cannot do that, you shouldn't do it, but also to combat that, we would end up sending 1,000 leaflets out by the post office just to get our brand out there. Nowadays technology is so much more advanced, so by using this and AI, we are able to identify people that may be wanting to buy a property in a specific area, in a specific catchment, because their children are potentially going to go to those kind of schools. AI is a scary thing, and it can tell us a lot, but it does help us with regard to getting to the target audience that we need to get to. So we have invested quite a bit in that, and we'll be further investing in that and taking on more of that kind of technology as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I think the prospecting side of things is a really interesting area, and without giving anything away, I think there'll be more coming from Alto around that in the near future. So
I look forward to that.
Thanks, everyone. Cool. Well, I think that's probably it for questions. Just mindful of time now. Again, and everyone that's dropped a question into a chat, we will come back to you directly, so you won't be unanswered. In terms of how we wrap up now, I think Sarah, again, thank you for your time. It's been a really interesting conversation. Love speaking to you, and again, putting yourself out there and giving us kind of half hour, 45 minutes of your time is brilliant.
Thank you for asking me.
No, definitely. Always open invite to come on to any panel that we've got in the future. But as we do wrap up, just a reminder that if you're a business like Sarah's, like Cheffins, looking for greater visibility, more compliance, and more kind of AI know-how, Alto can help. You can book a free demo, you can book a free no pressure chat with us. Just go to the resources tab, hit the link there, and you'll be away. As I said earlier in the call, the on-demand demo of this recording should hit your inbox very shortly. So if you want to just take the time to rewatch that back, please do so. And then finally, we hope you've enjoyed this session. We're looking to run these monthly. Appreciate any feedback that we get on these sessions. The next one's in the diary, I think, for early July, where Emma, thankfully, will be back as moderator, and this topic will be all around the use of AI valuation tools to estimate a property's market value. A lot of agents have actually raised concerns around this, concerns around fairness, accuracy, ethical considerations. So it's going to be a really interesting topic, and it's one that you don't want to miss. So more on that soon. But for now, that's it from me. That's it from Sarah as well. So goodbye.